Hey, this is Janice here, and I'm here to interview Renee Gordon. Renee lives in Tennessee with her two wonderful boys and her wonderful husband of 22 years.
24 this April.
Gosh,
I
that's
know.
amazing. And
Makes me
have
feel
an
old.
11-year-old and almost 11-year-old and a 13-year-old right now.
Well, they're 9 and 12 right now.
9 and 12.
Mhm.
So anyway, she's going to share with us. She is a child development expert, and she's going to share with you a little bit about what she does, and then she's going to share with us some tips that will help us all as moms. So go right ahead to
Okay, so I basically the program I work for is Tennessee Tech University, and I'm a child development specialist. And we get referrals from an agency. Every state has an agency like this. Ours is called Tennessee's Early Intervention System. Every state has an early intervention program. It's called Part C when you're looking for information. And what we do is we get a referral from them that says, hey, go check out these babies and toddlers. We work through age 3. And I do a developmental evaluation on them to make sure that their development is where they need to be, or they might have a known disability. And so I just do an evaluation on them. And then if they qualify for our services, then they will get services through the state up until they turn 3. So if your child has any kind of a delay or you have any concerns, you can always look up Part C in your state. They all have a different name. So, but Part C will look for that, or early intervention. And that can help you, for free to get help with your kiddo. So that's a little
Yeah.
bit about what I do.
For some reason, I can't think of what ours is called in Texas, but it's something like
Yeah,
that.
they're all different. I mean, Alabama has Alabama Early Intervention System, but Georgia calls it Georgia Pines, or they're all different.
Mhm.
So,
Yep.
but Part C, or early intervention, will help you get your services for your kiddo under 3, and it's free.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah.
And then after that, the district can take over, the school district can take over.
Correct. After that, your school system and the Part C coordinator people will help you transition into that. If you find that there's a problem with your kiddo, you're already sort of in that system, and they'll help you navigate that for a little bit. So,
Okay.
so there are services out there all the way up through 18, I suppose. But I
Mhm.
focus on just the babies and the toddlers, and so I get paid to play in a way. I love it.
Yeah. Well, Renee and I were talking a little bit ahead of time. I told her to try to limit to her top 3 things that she would want brand new moms to have and to understand and to know the things she's learned in her field as a child development specialist, but also as a mom. So the first one, she says, is to trust your mama gut. And she's going to talk a little bit more about that.
Yep, trust your mama gut. I bump into parents all the time who the pediatrician wouldn't refer them, or they have a question, or their child has an allergy, or their stomach's, they're just not quite agreeing with what the parents say, because on the developmental chart or on the health chart, they don't find anything wrong. You are your parents' first teachers, so you're the ones that take care of these babies. So if you really feel there's something not quite right, keep pushing and keep looking. I think that's just real important, that pediatricians do have a lot of knowledge, don't get me wrong, and they're just like a dentist, there's good and there's bad. So keep looking and find the one that really clicks with you. you know that's what I think you have to do. My pediatrician, I loved her, and when we moved to Tennessee, I had to start over, and I went through 2 others and finally found one that I adore for my boys. So, yeah, just trust your gut. You know your babies and how they function, and all of that. So go
Right.
with it.
I think that's so important.
Yeah,
Even as a parent who has, my kids are much older. Same thing with school. You need to trust your gut with school.
you
If
do.
something with the
You
teacher's not
do.
going right,
Yeah.
just trust your
Yeah.
gut because you know your kid. And if you can look at your kid and look at their weaknesses and their strengths, it's one of the best things that you can do
Absolutely.
as a parent. So
Absolutely. You're right.
the next tip that she wants to share with you has to do with comparison. And I saw a little quote the other day that I think I'll remember for a long time, and especially with me raising middle schoolers right now. But it says, comparison is poison. So
Mhm.
go ahead and talk about that a little bit, Renee.
Well, interestingly enough, because in my job, when I'm doing a developmental, I'm actually comparing these children to what's out there for the norm. But what I'm talking about is don't compare your kiddos to your friends' kiddos, or don't let those mamas who are flapping their gums, about how great their child is. Don't, every kid has a norm, and every kid is good at different things and at different times. So, look at what's unique about your child. And, I compared my own two boys, but that's what, I compared my second one to what my first was doing, sort of as a norm, like where did the first one do this? Is the second one doing that? It does happen, but don't let it get to your head or your heart, because it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with your child. And maybe they're inflating what they're saying. Maybe people like to brag about their kids. But try not to compare your kids, because even where they are at 4 may not be where they're going to be at 8. They may be completely different and excel in ways that you have no idea. So try not to listen to what other people say, about their kids, and
Right.
looking at yours and thinking there's anything right or wrong. Just try not to. It's so hard. I know. I've been there, but try not to do that.
And I know too, because I have a 27-year-old and a 25-year-old, and it's just one of those things that fear, I think, sets in, where you get to be fearful about their future if they're not doing what they're not reading where you think they should be.
Yeah.
And that's fear. So you just have to recognize it as fear and do what you can to advocate for them, get the service you can. And then you have to also be their biggest cheerleader. You have to believe that they will be able to pull themselves out of wherever they are. And, that's really the best thing that you could do. Okay, the last tip that we wanted to share with you was all about development and how kids develop, and how play is very much an important part of that development.
So my favorite quote from, when I was in school, and I had a lot of really good professors because I was a child development major, so we looked at just the whole child, is that play is a child's work. That is what they do. Children learn through play. Pushing, all kinds of papers on them at 4 and 5, and, let them play. Let them, dig in the dirt and run and play. That's really what they need. And especially when they're babies and they're toddlers, I laugh because I'm a very particular kind of set in my ways kind of person. And I married someone who lets them go jump in the mud puddle with their clothes on. And it just,
great balance. I love it.
It really is, and I'm not saying you have to have one fun parent and one not fun parent, but it really is fun to watch your kids just be kids. And, that's how they learn. They learn by, playing in the dirt, running around, and, even picking on their sibling. That teaches social, experiences. And it doesn't have to always be a negative experience, but they're going to have lots of times in their life where schoolwork and life is not fun. So teach them how to enjoy it whenever they can get it. And, but let them just play and experience, and, turn off the iPad all the time, sing songs in the car,
right.
And I'm guilty of it. We've all done it, but, it really is a lot of fun to just, play games in the car with them. And even now we still do that. We'll turn off the iPads, and, they're old enough, but it's fun. It's fun to watch them think and be creative that way. So, try to go back to just letting them play.
Yeah.
They're kids. That's what
I think kids nowadays are especially more stressed than ever in many ways. So I think that's a very important part. And then going back to when they're like a toddler, you're going to be afraid that they're going to fall. And they're going to fall, and they're going to hurt their head. And the first reaction is going to go to grab them because they fell.
Yeah.
But one of the first things that you can do is look at them and see if they're okay. Because if they really are okay, then you don't need to react that way. And that's one of the hardest things to watch as mommies, is to just watch them fall, but watch them figure out how to comfort themselves and get back up and do it again.
Yeah. Always let them, they've got to figure out their own bodies. They got to figure out their own mind. And, and if it truly does hurt them, then be empathetic to that, and then move on. But you're right. They've got to learn to problem solve and figure out how to navigate this world too. And even as a toddler, like you said, and sitting up and crawling and rolling over and all that fun stuff. They have to figure it out in order to do it.
Right.
So, yeah.
If you prevent them from having those experiences, if they
Right.
can't walk on the corner of the sidewalk like a balance beam, if they can't do that because you're afraid that they're going to fall,
yeah,
then you're really limiting them. And
absolutely,
that's what I learned from having a skateboarder. He said, Mom, you have to learn how to fall. And if you let them learn how to fall when they're tiny little toddlers, the bigger they get, the easier it's going to be. But if you're always there to protect them, then they can't figure out how to navigate with their body and keep them from falling and keep them from being injured. So that's just one thing that I've learned.
And even in situations of failure, I was talking to somebody about this yesterday, that, if your kiddo doesn't make a sport team, or, that there's rejection in life, and how you handle that with them, instead of always rushing to their aid and going to the school and say they need to be on the team, it sort of teaches character as well. It's, maybe there's a reason you didn't make the team. Maybe it was all political. It doesn't matter. There's life lessons, so.
Yeah, they have to learn how to look at their strengths and their weaknesses too.
Absolutely.
I just had a situation where all three of my triplets applied for this little math camp thing, and they were only going to take 10 people, but Brooke got in, but the other two didn't. So we had to work on that a little bit, but that's okay, because that means we're looking at strengths and we're looking at who they are individually, and then will be other things that will work out for the other two.
Yeah, I was going to say the other two will do something else. So,
But thank you so much, Renee, for letting me interview you a little bit today. And hopefully, if you watch this in YouTube and you want to comment on it, that would be great. And if you want to share it with friends, that would be great too. And thank you again for watching our little interview today.
All right.
About helping. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.